Thank you for joining me. My name is Brian and I am the lung coach. And on this lesson in the COPD home study course, I'm going to talk about COPD medications. Now, there's a lot of medications that you and your doctor may have already discussed, but I'm going to talk about a couple that I think a lot of people have questions about. So I hope to answer your questions, and if you do have any other questions, please email me so I can update the next lesson and include those medications. Now, the first thing I have written up here is this is flu season right now. So the very first thing you want to do with COPD and your medications is you want to prevent hospitalizations and attacks. Okay, so those two things, that's hopefully with my whole program I hope to prevent. Now, this is flu season, and I'm seeing a lot of flu in the hospital right now with COPD. So I want to point out that this is the season to get your flu shot, take your vitamins, keep inside. If people are coughing in grocery stores, you might want to wear a scarf even, because when you have COPD and you get the flu or pneumonia, it can be very difficult to treat those things because you already have problems with breathing, and then you add a respiratory infection on top of things. So real quick, before I start, I want to talk about the flu vaccine and the pneumonia vaccine. There's a lot of controversy out there, and they are medications, vaccines. So, I want to point out that even though you may not get the right flu vaccine for the season, you're still building antibodies for the flu. So, it's a mixed bag really. But I want to point out that you can get the flu vaccine and pneumonia vaccine, and even if it's not the strain that year, it's still protecting you against some of the most dangerous types of flu. Influenza A, influenza B, you had the H1N1 virus a while back, the swine flu that really made people sick. So anyway, I want to start with that and then vitamin D is a good thing to take in the winter. You don't get as much sunlight. And vitamin D helps boost your immunity. So even though it's not a medication, I wanted to throw that on there because, like I said, it's flu season. Seeing a lot of flu in the hospital. So, but really what I want to talk about with COPD medications is your rescue medications or rescue inhalers and your maintenance medications or inhalers. So in the first category, we have rescue inhalers or medications, but most of these are inhalers. So now I've included some links and some pictures on the side of the lesson on your screen to hopefully, if you want to know more about an inhaler you have, hopefully it's on there and you can just click the link and it'll take you to the pharmacy page explaining the medication. So these rescue inhalers, they might look like a red one, Pro Air, or Ventolin is another one. Pro Air is a red inhaler. Ventolin is a blue inhaler. These are all forms of albuterol, which is a blue inhaler as well. Proventil. I think it's OL. So these are your rescue inhalers. These you use only when you need them. When you have shortness of breath or wheezy or you just can't catch your breath. That's when you use your rescue inhalers, okay? You don't want to use those every day. You don't want to use them all day long, every day, unless you're in the hospital with an infection, and then we'll give you nebulizer treatments with these same medications, but that's when you're hospitalized, okay? So you want to use it as needed, not daily. It's not an everyday thing. Those would be your maintenance medications. Maintenance medications. Now, these are your drugs like Advair, Dulera, Spiriva, Flovent. You might have Pulmicort, Qvar is another one, very popular. So these are maintenance medications. And what these are ones you do every day, maybe twice a day. And these are drugs like Advair. It has a steroid in it, an inhaled steroid, and a long-lasting bronchodilator. Well, let me back up for a second. These rescue inhalers are your short-acting bronchodilators. And what that is it's a fast-acting drug that opens the little airways in your lung. And what happens with COPD attacks is that can constrict, it can get inflamed, you can get a lot of mucus, okay? So these rescue inhalers are what we call short-acting bronchodilators or beta agonists. Your Advair has a long-acting beta agonist or bronchodilator, and the long-acting is like a once-a-day or a twice-a-day medication you take to keep your breathing good. Now it also has a steroid, which helps with inflammation. Okay, so the steroid and the bronchodilator together make your Advair and your Dulera. Okay, now drugs like Spiriva, that's just a long-lasting bronchodilator, long-acting bronchodilator. Your Flovent is just the steroid. So you may see the drugs separate, or you may see them together, like in Advair, Dulera, Symbicort, Ceravent. There's a lot of them out there. But what you really want to know from your doctor is what's your rescue inhaler and what's your maintenance inhaler. And then that way you don't get too confused on which ones you should be doing every day and which ones you should only do as needed, okay? So, once again, rescue, maintenance. Albuterol, rescue. Advair, maintenance, okay? Stick with that rule and you'll be using most of your medications correctly. All right. Now, those are the two main class of drugs, but like I just mentioned, COPD, especially once you quit smoking, you can get a lot of mucus production. Now, there's one medication that's over the counter. You can buy it at the pharmacy without a prescription, and I tell all people when you quit smoking to buy it, and that is Mucinex. You know, it's a great drug for when you get that thick mucus when you have a respiratory infection. You should probably just keep a box of this on hand, really. Guaifenesin, I believe, is the generic name, but Mucinex, it's not the Tussin DM, that's a cough suppressant. You don't necessarily want to take cough suppressants, Robitussin, Tussin, because you want to cough mucus up. That's what the purpose of mucus is to clear bacteria, all that stuff out. So you need to cough up that mucus. So it's important, but sometimes it gets too thick. Mucinex is a good choice to thin it out a little bit for you. And then, of course, one of the major things we never think of as a drug, oxygen. And the reason I talk about oxygen in COPD medications because depending how severe your COPD is, you may already be on oxygen, and if you don't quit smoking cigarettes, you will be on oxygen soon. So, hate to be, very bad news there, but if you keep doing the thing that caused the disease to begin with, you'll be doing that right there. So, if you don't want home oxygen, dragging around a tube, those things make a big effort to try to get off those cigarettes. If you're already on oxygen, let's make goals to try to get you off the oxygen. Depending on how severe it is, it may be too late to get off the oxygen, but we might be able to turn it down if you're on high liter oxygen flow. Now, the way we measure this oxygen in the hospital, we call it SpO2, okay? Or O2 for short, right? And we always do this in a percentage. And anything that you see between 90% and 99% is considered normal in Denver, Colorado, a mile high. If you're at sea level, anything between 94% and 99% is considered a normal percentage of what we call saturation, pulse oximetry. And this basically, when they put the little red dot on your finger and it measures your oxygen, it's actually measuring the oxygen bound to your red blood cells or your hemoglobin. And that is the percentage of your red blood cells that are saturated with oxygen. Now, this is okay. If you're severe end-stage COPD, your doctor may say it's okay to be at 88% to 92%, okay? Because your lung function might not be that great and you already may be here, okay? Now, we're not going to go into, a lot of doctors don't want you 99 and you don't want to be 99, but you want to be above 90 in general. Anywhere in that range, and it goes up and down all through the day. So just keep that in mind, and a lot of times it takes more oxygen at altitude than at sea level. Keep that in mind for your travel plans to the ski resorts. Bring your oxygen if you're going to go. Also, you may feel great at sea level, so take a vacation maybe to the beach, who knows. But anyway, oxygen is a medication. You need a prescription for it, so it's not something you want to just turn up and down at home if you have it. Hopefully you're at a stage still where you can get on those maintenance medications, get off the oxygen if you've had a pneumonia, and we're going to talk about more of that in pulmonary rehabilitation, okay? So we went over the rescue inhalers, we went over the maintenance medications. This is called a mucolytic. That's a mucus medication. And we, of course, talked about oxygen, which is the most common drug prescribed for COPD. So, hope this video answered some questions. Remember to click on the links on the side of the page there and read about the inhalers. Should take you right to the pharmacy company's website. Okay? So, I hope this helps. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video where we talk about the COPD gold standard. Okay, thank you. Have a good night.